Ladies and gentlemen, that was a hard cut right there.
Yeah, it was.
Welcome to the Crunchy Conservative Podcast. My name is Adam Thompson. Joining me, of course, is my best friend all the way in Minneapolis, Minnesota, Weston Corrigue.
Hey, y'all, just like that cut, we're going to do all the things hard tonight.
We are going hard tonight because we have missed three weeks here. And you are watching the Crunchy Conservative Podcast right here on
At night,
YouTube.
again.
At night. We are back on new time, new material, and I actually can enjoy my day Monday mornings again.
Amen to that. That was brutal.
I'll tell you what, doing a political commentary podcast on a Monday morning just does not put you in the right mood at all for the rest of the week.
What are you, Steven Crowder? I don't get. Yeah,
exactly. Hey, welcome back, Steven Crowder. Glad to see him back as well. I hope he continues to recover as well as he's been doing. The show has been great. He had Alex Jones on a couple days ago, and that was awesome. I mean, that was the best. I mean, besides the next day coming out about Alex Jones being held liable in the lawsuit against Sandy Hook, the Sandy Hook lawsuit. Obviously, that is, we there's a lot of things that Alex Jones that we can say, oh yeah, this is because it's come out later. But then there's some things about Alex Jones. We go, Alex Jones, you're going a bit off the deep end here, buddy.
When he gets stuff right, he gets stuff right. But when he gets stuff wrong, my God,
wrong. It's a bombshell scandal for him. So, but Alex
absolutely.
Jones, obviously a man that the media makes conspiracy theorist. Us, we are not conspiracy theorists. What we try and do is research our topics for the night, use news articles to support those claims. If you feel like we're wrong, we want to hear from you in the comments. We are here to have a debate and have discourse and bring back. And if you're a crazy lefty, don't worry, I have names for you, like I've been doing pretty much all morning. First topic of business, though, we're going to be talking about, of course, the announcement coming out today from the DeSantis family. Ron DeSantis' wife, Governor DeSantis' wife, Casey DeSantis, has been diagnosed with breast cancer. So our thoughts and prayers are with her and the entire DeSantis family. As somebody like myself, who has lost a grandfather to prostate cancer and another relative of mine who has brain cancer. Nice one. As he puts his phone on silent, most of you will probably recognize that it's definitely a football ringtone for the game. Right now, we are what I do have on.
Actually, that's the capture the flag sound from Warsaw Gulch.
Either way, we are both football fans. Obviously, we are paying attention closely to the Monday Night Football game. Weston here is a Raiders fan. But anyway, back to the DeSantis family. Our thoughts and prayers with them. Cancer, you know what? I'm just going to flat out say it. I don't care if YouTube wants to take us down. Fuck cancer. It's something that you got to fight it until the end because it's something that just doesn't go down easily. I'm missing a prong here. You can tell we're in a decent mood tonight just because of the fact that we are on this new time. Oh my Lord. All right, there we go. But welcome on in, everybody. We're very excited to be doing this podcast back on a nighttime schedule. It's currently 9:03 Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and of course 6 o'clock Pacific Time.
Getting done with the workday just there.
Yeah, right there. So we have quite a bit to talk about today because, we've missed 3 weeks, and we want to make sure we cover the important things, and we have some good discourse about this. Of course, YouTube and probably the rest of big tech following now removing any vaccine misinformation, even though they do not clearly define what is misinformation. Weston, YouTube making a huge stance here on their platform. What does this mean for for content creators like ourselves?
Well, I think it means that I think for the most part, we just have to walk around those barriers. It still leaves us plenty of room to debate the stuff that I'm more interested in, such as the mandates around it and laws regarding the vaccines, and less about the arguing the efficacy because guess what? It's good. But
Yeah.
it means, yeah, we get to talk about the mandates and that we just don't like people legislating someone do something.
Exactly. And of course, for everybody at home, I would like to point out the fact we're using a new streaming platform to help us with these podcasts. We're using StreamYard.com. We're not sponsored by them. We're giving this a shot. I was watching something that actually was a YouTube channel that was using this, covering the Gabby Petito case and talking through the timeline and stuff. And I just said, you know what? Let's try this for a change, see how this goes. Let us know in the comments how you like that as well. Make sure to also hit that subscribe button down below and the notification bell, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot, just like Steven Crowder says. But that notification bell will tell you every time we go live or upload a video. And then also put your comments in. We got chat up. We would love to hear from people tonight here on YouTube. So talking about vaccine mandates, obviously there's going to be a lot of debate about this. I've been hearing a lot of, I've been actually on TikTok. I follow Legal Eagle, who is somebody who I think is a very trustworthy person to be talking about law. And then, of course, Law Prov Talk, somebody who is a constitutional law professor. And both of those guys have covered the vaccine mandates about whether or not it is constitutional. Now, because of the fact that the Biden administration is using OSHA as its primary power for the vaccine mandate, they technically, it is constitutional. And I hate to say that because I am against the vaccine mandates. I am against any sort of mandates from the government that forces somebody to give up a freedom that they could personally choose, because apparently the government knows better. But they do have constitutional purposes. Apparently, they do have a constitutional basis for these vaccine mandates. Weston, I really don't think that will the Republicans push back on this?
I mean, we already seen. I believe I'm gonna mothball it, but I believe it was 24 states sued them right away. We saw organizations and everyone do so. It'll be curious to see how it rolls out, whether they decide to throw the book at everyone that's like, hey, I'm not following that, or really what the states do, because it could end up like Affordable Care Act, where the states that want it end up taking it, and the ones that don't, you don't get it there. I think the more curious thing is we're also seeing people start moving states, like large corporations. I believe it was Smith & Wesson just left Maryland for Texas.
Yep. No,
and it's because
Tennessee,
thank you.
Tennessee.
But I wonder if it was related with mandate stuff or other legislation. I mean, this stuff is going to start driving people into even further corners and force moderates to pick a side, which, let's be honest, moderates don't want to.
Yeah, and this is something that I think people really need to take into consideration, whether or not this administration is going to be a success or not. Right now, it's a total failure. We're seeing American Airlines employees, airline employees, hospital employees speak out against these mandates because, I mean, a lot of these people, especially in the healthcare industry, a lot of those people went without a vaccine for an entire year, almost year and a half, before vaccines were even readily available to the public. And this brings up a very big concern, because if you looked at the pandemic at the early days, a lot of the PPE, they were having to reuse PPE.
That was terrible.
That's terrible. But did these hospitals have major outbreaks? No, they did not with their staff. They were able to keep staff healthy throughout. The majority of their staff healthy throughout. Did nurses get COVID? Yes, they did. There's no debating that fact. That it's just a straight up fact. But majority of nurses and majority of ER techs, majority of people who are working with COVID patients, having to reuse their PPE consistently for almost weeks at a time, not days at a time, weeks at a time. They were able to stay healthy. My father, who was an ER technician in the height of, right before the height of COVID here, and the spike here, he was around COVID patients consistently because they would come into the ER, and he had to use his mask a couple of times over and reuse his mask over and over again because of the amount of PPE that was available. Now, can we blame Trump for that? I can't really blame Trump for that. I think that's a hospital failure. That's a hospital administration failure for not having that equipment ready and available.
Well, it also was a stockpile that hadn't been replenished since the 2010
Yep.
flu outbreak. So it spanned 2 administrations. It's hard to blame just one person, especially when there wasn't thought this was going to happen.
But yeah.
Not to mention he put in the Emergency Production Act. I forgot about that part. Mm-hmm. So he was trying his best to get it up.
So CBS New York, as COVID vaccine mandates takes effect, approximately 8,000 DOE employees are out of 148,000 remain unvaccinated. So only 8,000 employees currently in the DOE are not vaccinated. That's a pretty substantial number, if you ask myself. 8,000 people. Are we actually going to be scared of those 8,000 people? No, absolutely not. Why? Why should we be scared of them? What if they got COVID before? I mean, this is the one thing that statistics do. Statistics can be manipulated. I saw a TikTok the other day of Switzerland saying that 1/3 of their COVID cases are unvaccinated. Well, what about the 2/3? The 2/3 of the people in that study vaccinated? Because if that's the case, then we got.
I believe it did break out to the plurality of that group because I think it was about like 20% was unknown. So I think it was around like 40 or something percent was vaccinated. So it was the plurality by a good amount, but then they're not really sure about that last percentage. But it's important to note.
Exactly, and the big thing is that we don't really truly know the numbers. I think we're being fed lies in the media with these numbers, and I mean, Bill Gates. If you watch the Bill Gates documentary on Netflix, you can actually see a book if you pause it. I can't remember which episode it was or timestamp or anything, but this was brought to my attention. Thank you to a few friends on Facebook. And I ended up looking back at it, and I can't remember. It's been almost over a year since I've seen this documentary, and went back and did that. He has a book about how to manipulate statistics. Manipulating statistics is a very big thing, especially when it comes to a political agenda. We look at Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's a perfect case of somebody who got COVID, survived COVID by using medication that was prescribed by a doctor. But here is media, CNN, Jim Shitface Acosta. I'm going to say it because he's such a terrible actor, man. He's such a bad journalist. What happened to journalism in this country, man? It's just so bad. But he went out and said that Joe Rogan's taking horse dewormer, which he's telling that somewhat of a truth, but also at the same time, he was slamming Joe Rogan and basically saying that he was taking horse dewormer without saying, oh, this is prescribed by a doctor for human consumption, and that ivermectin has actually been used in multiple different cases of COVID.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention it's a normal anti-parasitic for humans.
Humans, yeah, it's perfect. So if he took it, he threw the he basically threw the kitchen sink, as he's quoted saying, at it, and he was able to recover. Now he's back doing his podcast. Now we're seeing the Young Turks host. I can't even pronounce his name.
Cenk
Uygur, and saying that he'll fight Joe Rogan, and he'll win. It will be the easiest money he'll ever make. Sir, that is a dumb thing to do.
Okay. Let me just say this to Cenk, or as I've heard him before, Chunk. Look, those straw weights, the hay weights, they can kick my ass. Like, the only way I'm winning is if somehow I lay on them. I'm a 6'5" dude that's almost 400 pounds. Some tiny, petite fighter can definitely kick my ass. So I don't know what he's thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Joe Rogan is obviously a black belt in jiu-jitsu and has fought before. He is in the gym every single day of his life. He obviously preaches about a healthy diet and being a healthy person and working out and all that. And also, Joe Rogan has actually the number one show out there, not the Young Turks. I'm sorry, Young Turks, you do not have the number one show, even though you are on YouTube TV and YouTube continues to promote your shit.
Even though Viacom gives them some good old money.
You're bought and paid for. You're bought and paid for an agenda. And your lady co-host, I'm sorry, but she is ugly as fuck. Like,
okay, let's not hit people's looks here, man. Criticize them for their ideas.
As somebody who's worked in media before and has worked around TV anchors and producers and everything, guarantee you she would never be on any other camera except for the Young Turks. All right, why is she not on any other freaking news site because of that? Okay, I'm just being real here. I'm being completely honest.
I think it could also be because she's just straight belligerent and doesn't really let others talk about their points if they disagree with her in any way.
True.
I think that's the more important part. The Young Turks are terrible at trying to listen to other points.
They really are, and we'll continue to say this throughout the podcast, throughout our time as a podcast. The Young Turks, it's nothing but leftist propaganda. That's all it is. It is meant to brainwash people. It is meant to skew people in a different direction to what they think is the right ideology, and when they don't even realize. And I feel bad for people like this because they don't even realize that this is actually going to harm people in the long run. If we move to this fascist socialism that this country is moving towards, they don't realize that it's they're going to be fine, but the people that watch their programs are not going to be fine.
Here's a question: do you think it's fascism? Or do you think it's something else? Because
I think it's fascism.
It feels something else. And it's not good. I'm not saying it's something else good. I'm saying it's something else kind of scary.
Well, it's scary, but that's the thing about fascism. It hides itself.
I know, but you're seeing a combination of capitalism and like communistic type moves here with COVID. Super rich, powerful people are getting way more powerful and getting subsidies from the government, while the poor are getting everything extracted from them. I don't think that's fascism. Like, you could argue that the authoritarian meets the state is, and the businesses are fascism. But this is weird, especially because it's harming working class and lower class so badly. It feels like a consecration of businessmen over politicians this time.
It's corporate fascism mixed with communism. I mean, they're trying to basically put two ideologies together here because look at the way, if you actually look back in history and you actually read about Hitler and how he took power and what he did as a dictator in Germany, running fascism and using fascism to promote ideas. Fascism is one of those things that the first thing you got to do is be able to control the media.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to have a narrative. You have to control the narrative in order to promote your ideology. The second thing you have to do is disarm the people. What did Hitler do? He disarmed the people. The third thing he did was separate people. He segregated people from Aryan and German, Christian, Catholic, doesn't matter, from Jewish, gay, retarded, mentally handicapped people and all that. That's what he did. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening today. We're seeing it very slowly happen. And this is the thing that people don't realize. They say that Trump was a fascist. When did Trump control the media? The media was against Trump the entire time.
Well, you know what they're going to say, because it's kind of true. Fox News has the most viewers, and that is a right-wing show.
I think, there's a multitude different reasonings why Fox News has the most viewership is because people actually realize that CNN, NBC, CBS was literally full of shit.
I will also say that I think one of the most defining marks of Trump's presidency against not being one is him respecting governors not to send troops into Minnesota, Oregon, Seattle, St. Louis during the riots of 2020.
Yeah.
He could have very well federalized the troops and sent them to stop the chaos, but the governor said no because they have their own agendas to make him feel or look bad. Mm-hmm. And he respected that, which you can argue that's good or bad. There was a lot of damage, but I respected the governor. President didn't do it.
So one of the big things that we should discuss here is the fact that that there is a current Marine that is in prison for speaking out against leadership, and he's a conservative as well, and he's been thrown in jail. But then there was somebody else who was who is a liberal, a Democrat, registered Democrat, who is very critical about the response in Afghanistan, but is completely allowed to be free and is not in jail. And obviously, the family is asking for the freedom of the Marine who is in jail. That is straight fascism. Is by taking out people who speak out against you and throwing them in jail. That is actual fascism. There's no
one
way
of the
around
things
that.
is you need a scapegoat of some sort. You need a nationalist view of betterment, and that is with othering. I think that is, if you're going to point to something in the fascism lead up that you talked to, I think that's the one that's most real with what's going on right now, especially when it comes to vaxxed, anti-vaxxed, and identity politics.
Yep.
We're seeing it take over everywhere, in multiple avenues. It's not just one way. It's that we all need now a label, and that makes it a lot easier to other people.
Oh, it is, and the big thing is that people are just not comparing this at all, and making this link. And I just had it in my head, I completely forgot about it. So give me a second here. Is well, just look at Australia. They're building quarantine center camps, and that will be completed by 2026, where they'll put
Uyghurs, right?
What?
Uyghurs, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It's for the vaccinated, not Uyghurs. I forgot we were talking about Australia, not China.
Yeah, we're talking about Australia, where they'll put people who are unvaccinated in there, which we don't even know what's going to happen by 2026. And that's a very scary notion. And a lot of people are stepping up against this. If you haven't seen videos going around social media, Australia under protest consistently now. This is, I think, day number 14, 15 of the major big protests happening in Australia.
It's ticking people off, man. It's setting them off.
It's setting them off. You had truck drivers in Australia blocking the interstates and the highways and no longer transporting goods.
Mm-hmm.
And because they don't believe in this fascist government of Australia. And yes, the government of Australia is fascism now, even though they tried to investigate China and everything. That hasn't gone well, so they
just because you say someone else is bad doesn't mean you're good.
Yeah,
China said we were bad. You can make an argument, but they're still bad.
They're still bad. It's still a very scary notion here. The biggest part that's really starting to scare me as well, Weston, is the border crisis happening right now. We have had several Republicans in hearings. We have had several people question.
You saw that video, right?
Which video? I've seen a lot of videos.
The one with the overhead drone view of the border where people were just kind of walking back and forth.
Yeah.
Between Mexico and the U.S. It's crazy. It's nothing crazy. There.
Nothing's being done about it. The Biden administration's failing on this. And plus, those people can come in and they get the option of getting vaccinated or not. So they're respecting them. But when it comes to our own people, they can't respect our personal.
Also, they are encouraged to take ivermectin, actually. That is a real thing.
God. Why?
Because anti-parasitics, again.
Exactly.
It's a real thing.
This is just absolutely ridiculous. And then you had the administration, the Biden administration, calling the Border Patrol who use horses, literally calling horses for the Border Patrol racist.
Mm-hmm.
I was ready to put my head through a wall, Weston, when I heard that. I really was. When did a horse become racist, people?
Just like a rock became so over in Florida. What am I talking about? Sorry. There was a rock over on the U of W campus that they removed because it was racist.
People just don't understand. Our country is in peril right now, people. It's an absolute nightmare right now for a lot of our for everybody, because literally today I am banned on Twitter from posting on Twitter and following anybody really for another 7.5 hours. I had a 12-hour ban. I saw what I was reading through the Ron DeSantis wife announcements on Twitter because it was trending. I was very curious to see how people would respond because I knew what kind of response this was going to bring. And you had people from the left who just have a hatred in their heart, literally saying, karma, good, I hope she dies. You had all these different people wishing death upon her, wishing death upon wishing death to DeSantis. You had people going, this is what karma looks like. Maybe he'll trust science now. And I'm sorry. I am absolutely disgusted by this. I think that what they are saying, and people, and I've been getting comments. I made a TikTok today saying, oh, but you're using her diagnosis to call people assholes. No, I call people assholes every single day. But I'm using this time to really point out the facts that a lot of you people have a lot of hatred in your heart. And to the people who says that they are open-minded and loving to the party that actually says this, you really don't. You have zero open-mindedness. You have literally no heart and no reason for logic. And you want to know why I call you all assholes? Because you're assholes. Okay? When you start pointing the fingers, especially when it comes to Ron DeSantis, who I thought did a pretty good job handling COVID, and he's been doing a good job with the vaccine rollout. He deserves a lot more credit than what people are giving him. They're saying, oh, he's killed thousands. I'm sorry, people. It's time to wake the fuck up. This virus killed hundreds of millions of people in every single country in the world, okay?
Not to mention, California had almost
way more.
I don't know the numbers, but I know they had a ton. And he got reelected 63% to like 28. So
yeah,
you don't care.
You don't care. You really don't care. You care enough to push a political agenda and a political ideology that's fed to you by CNN, NBC, and ABC. That's all you're doing. Yeah, sure. Orange Man bad is out. The Orange Man who actually did more things great for this country than what the Biden administration will ever do. I mean, the Obama administration, because I think I figured out who's pulling the strings. It's not. I mean, we heard Nancy Pelosi talking about we need to open up government, like back to the Obama administration. Okay, thank you for finally giving us the answer to who's really running this shit show of a presidency we have right now. It is the Obama administration all over again.
Well, the big criticism during Obama's administration. Do you remember what it was? That Biden's running the show.
Yeah, Biden wasn't running jack shit.
Well, you know what? That's everyone was saying it back then. Just like Bush, it was Cheney. With Barack, it was. So I mean, arguably, if you think that someone else is running it or the OG Obama administration is, Biden is the OG potentially.
Potentially, but you got to realize Susan Rice met with President Biden. Why is Susan Rice meeting with President Biden? She has no connection to government currently. She's no longer an appointed member of government. Why did she have a meeting?
Because he wants to know what neocons think is middle ground instead of talking to populists. True. He wants the terrible brand of Republicans that are still hanging on by a death thread.
And why was she there? Why did she not answer questions from reporters? Those are things we need to be concerned about, is these people who are not appointed in government, who should not even be near and have been part of previous administrations and not part of this one. Why are they meeting with the president, and why are they not taking questions? We saw Boris Johnson with the president. Boris Johnson opened up the floor to questions, and the Biden administration was pretty pissed off about this. And you could tell he was shocked when the British Prime Minister opens the floor for questions And the Biden administration stops him from doing that. And he goes, okay, this is nothing. No. I ain't dealing with this. And he gets the F out of there. That's a problem, people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had people say that President Trump was violating the First Amendment for freedom of press. Well, he still let the press ask questions. He didn't bar anybody or any news organization from not being there.
Just somebody that video was interesting, but just somebody that potentially assaulted someone, potentially didn't.
Jim Acosta.
He accosted, or may not have accosted.
For people who don't remember, Jim Acosta was told to sit down and shut the fuck up by the president. And as the intern was trying to grab away the microphone, as she is allowed to, I mean, he was done asking his question. He asked the question. He's not supposed to be there to make a political statement. He's just there to ask questions, right? That's what journalism is, asking questions. And as the White House intern was up there grabbing the mic, he pulled it away and said, "Excuse me, I'm not done." Well, I'm sorry, Jim Acosta. Yes, you were. You were done. You needed to sit down and shut up. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like, you know, and now that CNN is just allowed to ask all these different questions on party lines, and then Fox News gets one or two questions.
I really love Paskey. She's just like, all right, I'll let you ask a question.
I'll let you. Yeah, circle me Paskey. Excuse me. Circle me Jen Psaki.
Sorry. Yeah.
Hey, it doesn't matter because we'll have to circle back to her name later.
Well, she's stepping down after this year, so maybe not.
I think
Did they reverse that?
I don't know. I don't care. She needed to go a long time ago. And obviously, there's no... And I mean, we saw that last week, the hearings of the generals and the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and basically everybody who was part of the decision to pull out of Afghanistan at a hearing. What a nightmare that was. What a nightmare. But here's the press who literally has given the evidence that Joe Biden lied about this. Or these generals are lying. It's one or the other on this one, because all of them have said, yes, we did recommend keeping 2,500 troops there. Yes, we did recommend this. Yes, we did recommend this. Then why did Joe Biden go on the record with George Stephanopoulos and say, no, I don't recall them saying that. No to everything. So Joe Biden lied to the American people about Afghanistan, straight up. And I think this is a very fair point that everybody just needs to understand, that he really messed Afghanistan up super, super poorly.
What's scarier, if he lied or if he just forgot?
I think he lied.
I think he lied too. I don't think this is dimensional spacing, but what would be scarier?
Oh man, both are. I mean, both are equally scary, because, you know, it just shows incompetency in either or. I mean, it shows that he is not fit to run this country at all. We were talking about the border before we got into this. So right now, Val Verde County in Texas to sue the Biden administration over the border crisis. They have been one of the hardest hit counties when it came to the border crisis. And then Democratic Texas mayor blasts Biden over border crisis. Quote, it was working under Trump Mayor Pete Saenz said Laredo residents will soon be begging for a wall. That's a loaded statement, especially from a Democratic mayor. A part of these border towns. Obviously, under the Trump administration, the border crisis was not completely solved. I think there's a lot more to do with immigration that needed to be done, and I wish we could have had another 4 years to see what that would have looked like. But obviously, what the Biden administration is doing, they're and this is something that I think people just don't realize that I have made the connection to, and I think some other people have. This is what they want to happen. This is what they touted. They wanted open borders. This is what Tucker Carlson, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, and Michael Knowles, name them, name all the conservative political commentators out there. They said this Democratic Party wants open borders. This is exactly what they've been hoping for.
Yeah.
This is what they wanted to happen. And now it's a problem. It's a major problem. Under Trump, it wasn't a problem. It was getting solved. It wasn't completely solved. We needed to figure out a pathway to not an easier, but a better pathway to citizenship. We needed a better way of getting those people to get amnesty here and to stay in this country without being deported. I mean, those are two very reasonable things to be thinking to have debates and discourse about, because those are two very important things that go along with immigration.
Well, and that's the one thing that always frustrates me so much, particularly the unwillingness to move forward on what to do post DACA.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we might get something with Trump because we were getting so much criminal reform and things like that. I wasn't sure I would like it, but I thought it'd be some closure at least. And I don't think we're going to touch it with Obama. It just feels like it's going to get extended another 8 years, and these people are just going to be living in limbo, and that's terrible.
Yeah, and these people are going to go out into the world. We don't know who these people are. That's the big thing.
Well, it's people that have been born here and stuff like that with foreign parents that crossed illegally or brought over here as children.
Yeah, those poor children. And I mean, you look at the border crisis now, and you got to wonder how many of those people are human traffickers, sex traffickers, drug dealers, violent criminals. And I'm guessing it's a good portion of them. I mean, that's what Trump was trying to do, was to stop the sex trafficking, the human trafficking that was coming across the border, and the drug trafficking. Basically any sort of trafficking you can think of on this universe. He was trying to prevent that from happening. How is that a bad thing, people? Let's be real about this. You were fed lies. Moving on to more lies, though, Weston. Clinton attorney was arrested.
Yes. Yeah, that was nuts. I mean, you got the Russia thing a couple of years ago, and then you found out it's all fake.
It's all fake. And of course, I'm surprised he hasn't been Epstein yet. I think they're still working on how to execute that plan. But obviously,
so if that does happen, and understand, I don't think these are real, but I'm gonna play into it. So if he does unalive,
Epstein
is it an Epstein or is a Clinton body count?
Both, because it's both.
Wait, isn't Epstein also supposedly a Clinton body count?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's part of the Clinton body count. But I'm very surprised that he has not turned up dead somewhere, because of the
he'll have a sniper bullet in his head, and it would have been like, how did he kill himself?
It's a self-inflicted
Sorry,
gunshot wound. It's a self-inflicted gunshot wound, don't you know?
Where's his head?
It's over there.
And over there. And there.
It's everywhere. But obviously, we were fed a lie. Well, I shouldn't say we were fed a lie, because I knew it was a lie from the very get-go of this. That the Clinton campaign stouting off a narrative saying that Trump won illegitimately. How does that sound familiar? Talking about saying that the only way Trump could have won was with Russian collusion, and that Trump's a Russian agent, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, we know the whole story. It was a witch hunt.
The crazy thing about that is how much of it they just threw in there with zero backing evidence, kind of, I forget who the president was. I think it was Eisenhower. That's like, I'm going to accuse him of that, not because I think he did it, but because I want him to deny doing it.
Yeah. You make somebody else deny it, and then you say, well, he's denying it because he's guilty of it.
Yeah, potato, emails in Ukraine. I don't know.
It's, Russell Brand, the comedian who's not a conservative, he talked about this and even
I got you watching him. I got you watching him.
I saw this video. I watched this video with Ben Shapiro, and I found that video to be one of the best conversations I think I have seen in the past 5-6 years on YouTube between two opposite thinkers and two people who believe in opposite ideas. That was like one of the best conversations you could ever ask for. And I do recommend people to go to Russell Brand's page and watch that video with Ben Shapiro, because they talk religious theology and different things, which is always very unique to talk about, especially when you have somebody who is what is Russell Brand? He's like a Christian.
So he's a Christian. He kind of takes more. He does take an Eastern influence on it, so he's into meditation and stuff like that. It's an interesting fusion. I'd still call it Christian.
Yeah, and then you have obviously Ben Shapiro, who is an Orthodox Jew, or believes in Orthodox Judaism. So that was I just found that whole conversation to be probably one of the best conversations I've ever seen. And I was like, I'm going to subscribe to him now because I want to see more. But he comes out with a video last week saying that, going through the entire evidence, that this whole thing was a lie. Now, I'm sorry, and I love that video. That is a great video, and I want everybody to see that video. Now, in 2016, we had literally a campaign and an entire political party and news media spouting this information. 2020 comes around, and there are some question marks around that election, but yet, where are the threats to democracy? I've come to the conclusion that if any Democrat Party politician accuses the other side of one thing, majority of the time, they are usually the ones who are doing that. I'm sorry. I'm just going to straight up say it. As we've seen with Sean Hannity's with the dossier, and everything else. We saw the Christopher Steele dossier that was funded by Fusion GPS and all of that nonsense. Oh, so it looks like the Clinton campaign was working with some Russians and some foreign agents on this. Ban us, YouTube. I dare you.
Don't do it. You're already on a hot streak.
I'm on dude, I am on fire today. Like today it kind of sucked because Facebook and Instagram were down, and then there's a big
then
fire.
the one you can use is like get off.
Yeah, and then like the only social media platform where I can actually receive my information at that point, I was completely banned off of until I had to delete the tweet, and then they let me back on their service. And I was not going to delete that tweet, man. I was not going to delete it.
It was a tweet worth deleting. It could have been phrased so much better.
But he was no. That was the only way he was going to understand what kind of a moron he was. Because if I used big language, he would be going, "What does this word mean?"
Ouch. You could have just done, "No, you big dumb." Just 3-letter words. I know what you're thinking. Dumb is 4. You know what? The B's silent. Drop it. It's silent anyway. No one cares.
But one of the things today, like there's a big fire that's north of my apartment currently that's still ongoing.
That's right. I forgot about that.
No idea what was happening because Facebook and Instagram were down and being banned on Twitter for that amount of time. I had to turn on a police scanner to actually get any sort of information about this fire. I mean, I had to find my own way to get this information until I deleted that tweet, because I was like, okay, I really need to get information about this because I know some people that live in that area, so I wanted to see what was happening. But anyway, back to the topic at hand, which is, I mean, let's be real. There's a lot of conspiracies around the 2020 election. Do I believe that Joe Biden won this election fairly? No.
I do.
You do?
Again, I will tell you a million times. There just isn't. To claim that there was election changing fraud, it would be requiring too many people. There's no way it'd be keeping quiet. Was there bad actors? Sure. Was there fraud? Yes. Was there election changing fraud? I would say no.
I wouldn't say election changing fraud, but definitely a huge influence from an outside source.
So if it wasn't election changing, then Biden still won.
I mean, if we're going to accuse Trump of being an illegitimate president, we can accuse Biden of being an
illegitimate
president.
I'm not accusing of being illegitimate. I'm not even saying Bush is illegitimate. I'm saying election changing fraud didn't occur. Biden won fair and square.
But
there was fraud. It was not that type of fraud, though.
Was this the securest election in United States history?
No.
By all means, no, it was not. I mean,
mail-in voting is going to be an interesting problem going forward.
It really is, and I can't wait for it to blow up in somebody's face when actual fraud takes place, and it's right there in the evidence. You can tell. I mean, has Mike Lindell kind of gone off the deep end about it? Yes. But does he make some good questions? Yes, I think so. I think those questions needed to be answered, and we didn't get the answer to those questions, which makes us go, how come? How come we're not getting the answers to these questions? I think it's okay to question an election because in 2016, we questioned the election for 4 years.
Yeah.
That was all that people talked about until Mueller came out with his report and went, there's nothing here. So as we are getting ready to wrap up.
Okay, hold up. The Mueller.
Go ahead.
That one was because it wasn't just about the Russian thing. It was also about if the president was committing. I forget what the word is. Apparently, I have a hard time with big words. Obstruction.
Justice,
which the argument was kind of he did, but they're not mad about it. So can it be obstruction of justice?
Well,
I just shot this guy, but they liked it. Am I a criminal?
It wasn't that. How can obstruction of justice happen when there was no crime committed?
Well, it was. But you're stopping an investigation, and that is what obstruction of justice is, because it's not about stopping it only if it's guilty. If the person's innocent too, and you stop the search for evidence or collection of evidence or interfere in any way, it's still obstruction.
Well, I mean, the thing is that they didn't want to pursue charges, and obviously they're not pursuing charges now.
No,
Trump is a citizen,
it's a foregone issue.
Bullshit. So as we're going to wrap up our show here in just a little bit, and I want to talk about this particular topic because this is becoming quite the trend across the country every Saturday at college football games, at concerts. And,
I know what you're saying.
We're going into this now. This has been and this is why I go, there's no way Joe Biden won this election fairly. You have massive crowds at college football stadiums, at concerts. The most recent was today at the NASCAR playoffs race in Talladega in Alabama with the chants, "Fuck Joe Biden." Now, this has become quite the trend on Saturday college football days. You're seeing plenty of videos out there where it's not just a small group of people saying it. It's a big stadium full, almost 80% of the crowd chanting this.
I've got numbers.
You got numbers.
I got numbers, and this is what I think has happened. So hang with me here. It's not a crazy ride. This is not going in the DeLorean, hitting 80. Oh wow, I forgot. Anyway, so this is Joe Biden's approval rating since he entered office in December. Republicans 11% approval rating. I'm shocked.
Okay.
They don't like him.
Shocked.
Okay.
I thought that number would be less.
Democrats, 98%. This is from Gallup, by the way, so take it as it is. And then here's the other thing. Independence January. This is the one to keep track of. 61%. So let's move all the way over to September. Democrats, what do you think? They started at 98?
Definitely not 98 anymore.
No.
48?
Oh, no. Much, much higher. It's still 90.
Higher. It's 92?
But, no, it's 90.
It's just 90. Okay.
Yeah, but you expect that. The party's obviously going to defend the president that they voted for and they're the same party of. Not a surprise. Mm-hmm. Republicans, where do you think they are?
It's got to be less than 5% at this point.
Oh, so close. It's 6%. So
Republicans.
About half.
What are we doing, Republicans? What are you on?
It's people like, I'm not going to say I approve because I don't, but it's people like me that are trying to just sit on the fence and be like the middle ground people.
Quit being Switzerland, damn it.
No. But even independents aren't being Switzerland. 61%. Think about how bad his approval rating is now. What do you think it dropped to?
I think the latest study that wasn't a Gallup poll, it was like 40%.
Lower.
On a Gallup poll?
On a Gallup poll. Lower.
That surprises me. 38.
Oh, 37. It went from 61 in January to 37 now. That is the group of people
huge.
that is turning on Biden. It's the independents that are displeasured at this point. That is why you're seeing a 43% approval rating and a 49% for Harris. They don't like what's going on, and they're showing their displeasure.
Half the country hates these
half
people,
the country. More than half. And, okay, here's the other thing. Every president until Trump has enjoyed a honeymoon period. Nobody but Trump has dropped this low up to this point, except Biden if he doesn't recover. Biden and Trump will be the most unpopular presidents in their first year ever. 2 in a row. Even Bush got a
decent
friendly
rating.
He got the honeymoon period just like every other president since they've been tracking approval and disapproval.
I mean, the biggest thing is that, Joe Biden was trying to stop these college football stadiums from not filling up and for college students to enjoy a Saturday at the football game. I mean, you have crowds. And people got to realize this. College football stadiums are not small whatsoever.
They're bigger than NFL stadiums.
They're bigger than NFL.
Top tier ones.
They can fit up almost to 100,000 people.
120 in some cases.
Yeah, even 120. You have you have Camp Randall in Wisconsin. You have Ohio State Stadium. You have Michigan Stadium is a massive stadium.
Well, and do you know what most NFL stadiums are set to capacity for?
What 90?
No.
Almost?
That's expanded. That is expanded Super Bowls here stuff. The average capacity is about 64,000 people.
64,000 people.
64,000. So that means the big name college stadiums are almost double the size of an NFL stadium, and they pack it out.
And I would recommend people watch some college football Saturdays. Listen, because you can hear the crowd through the microphones on the broadcast. You can hear it, and you could hear it today in the NASCAR race. Even yesterday, on Saturday during the NASCAR and Xfinity race, when the winner of the race was being interviewed, and they usually interview them at the start finish line after they're done doing their celebration, whatever. Mm-hmm. People were chanting, and that was it was about, I think, 60% full. They were chanting, "Fuck Joe Biden." They were seriously, and the reporter was trying to play it off like they were saying, "Go the winner, go the winner, go the winner." The name of the winner, I can't remember his name. I didn't watch it, so. But
if I'm gonna guess, it was Kurt Busch.
No, he's in NASCAR, not Xfinity. It was some new. It was some younger kid who won. He's never won a race in NASCAR in his career, so it was kind of cool to kind of see that, to see the highlights of that. But during the interview, these people were chanting "Fuck Joe Biden," and you have college football stadiums where 70 to 80% of the people in these stadiums are chanting "Fuck Joe Biden." Now I get it. The FCC does not like this whatsoever because it's using an expletive.
Naughty
But
words.
there's no naughty words, naughty words. But it's this is. I think people actually went. We were sold a bad bill of goods here, a bad sale of goods. Like we were sold something really, really bad. And I think they're realizing that, and they go, some people are who voted for Biden are going, Trump wasn't actually that bad. He wasn't
No,
that
absolutely.
bad. I think he would have handled the end of this COVID crisis much better than Biden's been handling it. And honestly, it's sad to see this happen in this country because my question is, what's going to happen in 2024? Because if Biden gets reelected, okay, we see what's happening here officially. There's no way. But again, the media's going to try and spin this as January. Look at January 6th. Look at the amount of COVID deaths. They're going to bring back things from the past that did not go well for the GOP, even though the GOP had literally zero responsibility in any of those things. Mm-hmm. And they're going to turn this into a civil war. I mean, we're going to get to 2024.
Let's face it. We're probably already in a cold civil war. I'm willing to go that far.
We're almost there, man. We are so
We're
close.
there. No, we're there. Remember, January 6th happened. Last year happened. Someone just got shot over political difference over in Portland like a week and a half ago. It's here. It's not here. On the horizon. It's here. It's just not outright violent like the Civil War was.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of our show here.
I had numbers that were interesting.
Go ahead.
So, going back to the this is a poll from what was this? Rasmussen. Okay, so even out between this Rasmussen and Zogby, but Zogby restated about a fifth of likely voters regret voting for Biden. That's huge. That is
a big number.
Election turning numbers right there. It's even worse with the Rasmussen, given they are a more right-leaning poll. 37% would likely vote for Biden over Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that. Oh, sorry, I misread that. 37% are likely to vote for Biden, whereas 43% would vote for Trump, and 14% said they'd vote for some other candidate. It's entirely different. This is an upset constituency we have in the U.S. after this last year. It's incredible. So
it is. It really is. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our podcast this evening. We want to thank you for watching the Crunchy Conservative Podcast. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. It's underneath Weston there. Under myself, it's the title. We'll have a new title next week, of course, and new material, of course. Make sure to join us every single Monday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern. Well, folks, it's been a great time. This has actually been one of the longer podcasts we've been able to get through here. So
it's been a blast.
It's been a good one. We've had a good time with this. So, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. We can't wait to see you next week for more Crunchy Conservative action. I'm Adam Thompson. That's Weston Craigie, and we want to say thank you for watching and have a good night.